Hello, this is a presentation on health promotion looking at the breast self-examination and mammogram screening. It is presented as an assignment for the Theory and Practice of Health Science at Professor McDowell, October the 18th, 2017. The first part of the presentation will be looking at the theoretical foundation. And in this particular one, we're going to be looking at three specific foundations for theory to set up the design of the learning process. One is Kolb's learning theory and Kolb's 4 learning styles, deliberate practice theory, and the social cognitive theory. When looking at the development of an experimental learning scenario, we need to first look at the theoretical foundation. And I looked at 3 particular ones for my presentation. One was the Kolb's learning theory and Kolb's 4 learning styles. One was the deliberate practice theory, and the last one was the social cognitive theory. All of these theories are intertwined into the presentation for optimal learning. The first learning theory that we are going to look at is Kolb's learning theory. I placed it first because it is the one that is most used throughout the entire scenario. And it is defined as the continuous cycle of learning whereby adults learn from previous experience. So this is not a style that is adaptable to children because they don't have previous experience. But it is done in a scaffolding format to reach optimal understanding and knowledge during the session. We had mentioned previously that Kolb's had also further developed and identified 4 learning styles: the converging, the accommodating, the assimilating, and the diverging styles, each with its own distinct characteristics, because that is where the participant has predominance in learning. Based on these learning styles, then, the classroom is designed to meet the needs of the styles. A student-centered approach was implemented to ensure the session would meet the need of the participants in this particular community. The classroom setup was flipped to ensure that the participants learned from their own experiences, and the facilitator was there mainly to guide the learning process, not to conduct a lecture. To engage each participant and generate a robust learning environment, each learning style was considered as the session design was developed. Another very important theoretical foundation was the deliberate practice theory. In this, the expertise is developed by engaging in repetitive practice of a specific objective or set of objectives, followed by reflection of the experience. So we've all heard the adage, practice makes perfect, but in this we go further and we say perfect practice makes perfect. A skilled trainer and the facilitator will conduct the practice sessions on task trainers which feel very similar to real-life breast. The participants are taught the 3 methods of palpating the breast to detect lumps and other abnormalities to watch for in the breast, such as retraction. These techniques will also be demonstrated and practiced by all participants. The third theory that is the foundation for creating and designing the session was social cognitive theory. In this theory, learning is optimal when acquired through groups and facilitators, each supporting the other and learning how to resolve problems accurately. Here, the participants will learn how to learn outside of their established comfort zones and engage with other women in a safe environment where the common goals of learning how to prevent breast cancer, and also how to detect abnormalities will be the basis of the session. Participants can explore and evaluate their ability to perform the techniques to detect the breast lumps and on how to detect the other abnormalities as well. And the facilitators will be there watching and observing, asking questions, and also being available to assist when they detect a flaw in the technique. The next step in developing the experimental learning is to look at what the three objectives will be, and if they fulfill the cognitive domain, the psychomotor domain, and the affective domain. In the first one, we will teach monthly breast self-examination techniques to women beginning at age 18 and up. Implement a regular breast cancer screening mammogram schedule for each high-risk participant 18 years old and older, and teach the risks, the warning signs, and screening for genetic biomarkers for breast cancer to that same age group. These three objectives fulfill three domains. The cognitive domain will consist of the understanding of the anatomy of the breast, the role of hormonal changes, the risk factors and the warning signs, and the genetic biomarkers associated with breast cancer, as well as the importance of regular breast screening and mammograms. In the psychomotor domain, the performance of the breast self-examination and knowing how to detect a lump, to detect a rash or swelling or any discharge in the breast or any non-cyclic related breast pain. We will first do it on task trainers in the classroom, and then they will have enough practice so that they will feel comfortable in performing this technique at home on their own breasts. In the affective domain, we want the women in the community to be encouraged to engage in healthy lifestyle modifications, which for breast cancer there are 3 or 4 that are very important. One is smoking cessation, exercise for weight reduction, and the reduction of alcohol consumption. All of these healthy modifications will help them acquire the optimal health outcomes. They will also receive feedback from the facilitator during the session, and this will help them acquire self-efficacy in breast health exam. So as they're practicing how to perform the exam and how to detect for the other abnormalities such as retraction, we will be available to them, and if we detect any flaw in the technique, then we will readily be able to identify it, and it will be a teaching opportunity and a learning opportunity for them, so that by the time that they get home they will feel very comfortable in their self-efficacy of being able to actually do this on their own and do it correctly. This particular experimental learning event will be offered via registration every quarter at the community center. The task trainer simulation portion of the event is an integral part of the course because it is something that they can repeatedly do every month at home, and it is one of the most critical components of early detection of breast cancer. Each event will be offered to 40 women divided into 10 tables with 4 people at each table, and each person will be able to have their own task trainer to practice on. This will also allow for the socialization, which is very important, and the feeling of being in a safe and comfortable environment to discuss women's issue. This will allow for mother and daughters to sit together and look at this health promotion activity as a family, or siblings to sit together to enhance the affective domain. And new participants can also meet new social contexts there and develop a spirit of community. The participants will actually perform the techniques, and the goal is for them to develop a clear understanding of what they are looking for and why. Any mistakes in the techniques is portrayed as a learning experience, not a mistake. Also, equally important is detection. So, what to do if they do find a lump in their breast is also important. So, this discovery scenario and the available resources will be addressed by the skilled person who is in fact a breast cancer survivor. And I think this is very important because it adds a tremendous amount of credibility and dispels some of the fear that women have of the possibility of detecting a lump in their breast when they see someone healthy and vibrant telling their testimonial of how they overcame cancer. And the testimonial is given by a skilled person. So this is a person that's trained in redirecting the conversation and the session to the affective domain, and making sure that everyone feels very comfortable in knowing where to go to find resources should they suspect the possibility of a lump in their breast. And once again, after that brief testimonial, the skilled person will also go back and encourage everyone to practice again on the task trainers so that they perfect the technique before they leave. After the practice is coming to an end, we will pause for a moment and have a debriefing conducted by the facilitator, asking pointed questions to detect any further need for clarification or a knowledge deficit. Participants are also able to ask questions or make any comments as well. Feedback is very, very important during this time. Once the debriefing is over, then we will provide a written evaluation to be completed by the participants and a link to the presentations given so that everyone can refer back to it for retention purposes once they get home. After 30 days, a follow-up reminder to conduct their second breast self-examination will be sent to them via email or a mailed postcard to encourage continuance of their lifestyle health habits and serve as a means to invite them to other health promotion activities in the future. In our experimental learning, we have learned that it facilitates the deliberate practice and the peer interaction, which helps us so that we can develop proficiency in any area. And the ability to learn in a health promotion environment and practice with peers will enhance the acquisition of the skills and encourages participants to continue in other personal health matters to learn and acquire self-efficacy. Hopefully, through all of these activities, we will increase the functional health literacy of our community. That in essence, is the end goal.